Live from the Green Room Studios, from the spacious property of Bates Nursery and Garden Center, 3810 Whites Creek Pike, it's the At Home Show with Josh Carey and David Bates.
Hey, welcome in, everybody. It's your Saturday morning tradition. It's the At Home Show, and we're here for you, coming to you alive from the Green Room Studios here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center. We do so every Saturday morning, don't we, David Bates? Don't we, David Bates? David Bates? We can see you, but we cannot hear you, David Bates. Anyway,
Sorry,
there you go.
I had my mute on there. Forgive me.
Don't hit the dump button.
But yes,
then.
we are here every Saturday morning, and we're glad to have you all aboard.
Yes. Okay.
We're all good now?
Yes.
Well, we're okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. I gave you all a heart attack. I muted myself.
What happened to your voice?
It went away. But yes, we are glad to see everyone around, and we're moving on through the season here, and we were having a little weather talk beforehand. We're going to do that actually live and on the air.
Okay.
At this time, here's the 10-day coming up, and we were looking at the previous week's forecast before we switched to the new one, and it tracked pretty accurate this past week. One of the things that is noteworthy is that there's still rain in the forecast through the rest of the month, not every day. But it looks to me like quick math says we've got about at least an inch and a half of expected additional rain.
Oh, boy.
Which, to put that in perspective, let's go over here to our Bates Nursery weather station. We've already had 4.22 inches of rain this year. 3.97 is the normal amount of rainfall we would expect for this time of year. So what does that mean? Well, it's wet, and your plants are pretty well hydrated. So it's a great opportunity to kind of look around your yard and identify drainage issues whenever that it's not raining. And it's not supposed to rain during the day today, perhaps a bit overnight and into the day tomorrow. 51 for the high today. Partly cloudy conditions later on in the afternoon, and it's more on the sunny side currently. Sunday is going to be a cloudy day with morning rain showers. 48 degrees, 46 on Monday, with clouds in the morning and sun in the afternoon. Tuesday we get 52 degrees, partly cloudy, maybe a few showers on Wednesday. You notice that there must be overnight rainfall. There's 3/4 of an inch that they're showing right here on Tuesday. So there must have been overnight rain. Thursday, 45 and 31 for the low, and cloudy conditions. We get back into the sunshine by the weekend next week. So currently it's 24 degrees here at Bates Nursery Station, live from the Green Room at Bates Nursery and Garden Center. And again, we'll take a quick look at the 4.22 inches of rain we have had to this point. Actually, I needed to refresh it. We're up to 27.7 degrees now. So all in all.
Well, you're doing your decimals today, man.
Yeah. We try to be accurate, within a tenth of a degree, plus or minus, más o menos. So we're trying to put it all out there today and answer a few questions along the way, because I understand we have several.
More than a few.
Who is that voice, David Bates?
And we will try to. I'm getting there.
You are
that way.
Okay. Moving that.
We've got a number of questions that are somewhat the same, so we may be combining some in order to try to get everyone's questions answered. And many of those answers will come from the opposite end of the studio.
Oh, really?
Caroline Gant, Austin Lowen are on that end. And good morning, guys. And I would be
Good morning.
There they are. Good morning. And we're glad to have you. Caroline sporting a more bouncy hair look. She can curly it off.
I did get a haircut. You can't really tell.
Austin, yours doesn't seem to have that same bounce to it. Yours has about as much bounce as mine has.
I know. Thanks for that.
Non-existent.
No bounce for you guys.
And by the way,
now, Caroline, we have to be kind to the follically challenged in the studio.
Hey, I didn't bring it up.
Okay, I know.
And of course, we would be remiss if we didn't talk to about the guy who keeps us all on the airwaves and sounding our best, Tyler Blankenship.
And he has his own camera.
Tyler.
Morning.
Tyler Cam.
I do.
Morning, as always.
I can't do it though.
Why?
It's the way that I have things configured.
Well, you need to configure them differently.
It's okay.
I'm just
It will
kidding.
be returning soon.
We're working through. This whole endeavor is a works in progress, and
it's only been
as
progress.
We see around the studio this morning, we have featured conifers. And I'm sure we'll be talking about that along with the many other things, but let's just kind of chat it up for a moment here. Caroline, Austin, what's going on with you guys?
Pottery.
Pottery.
That's what I'm doing. And Austin, most of the time at the nursery right now. We are still getting pallets upon pallets of pottery in.
And we want to say get well soon to Jim, our delivery guy. He had a stent put in this week, which I told Adam, I said, that is that is a flimsy excuse. Taking
deliveries need to be made.
Yes, they do. He was actually in yesterday. He had the stent put in on Monday, and then he was in yesterday to pick up a pot for a plant at his house.
He was, and he looked no different than usual. He was
stent it'll do it to your face.
Yeah. But really, though, the major surgery, I guess, on Monday, and then out here buying a pot yesterday. He's a trooper.
Well, you certainly have the collection of them out there. Now, the colors are brilliant this year. A lot of patterns that I could see across the way.
There are some patterns. Yes, you're right.
And so what are the trends, Caroline, as far as containers this year? What are people going to find when they come out to see us and explore all the variety that we have on hand?
You're going to find a little bit of everything. I would say the most of what we have and what's going to sell the quickest is going to be like our neutral planters, so like the whites, the off-whites, and then like the turquoise. Those always sell really well. Austin's a big fan of those turquoise pots. But we did get a lot of fiber clay in, which I'm a fan of for indoor plants or plants under cover. And we have a lot of really, really great fiber clay. They're lightweight, they're easy to move, and you can get them in a really large size and not have it like be basically, permanently attached to one spot. But we have so much large pots, small pots. I think we even go up to like 25 inches across in diameter to 2 inches. It's a little bitty pots, but there is, I'd say this is probably the largest variety we've ever had at the nursery right now.
You could see lots of different green shades.
Yeah, there's a lot of green too.
Earthy
people who are
tones
looking for very specific things in both size and color and all that. This is the time to get out and shop for those because we've got it all right now. And the further into the spring we go, you don't have as much selection. It's just the way it goes. We still have a good selection throughout, but right now we've got everything.
Well, the trend in a lot of the design seems to be so dark on the homes anymore. Now, it's black is the new black, but
we do have some black pots.
You really need to pop some color against some of these monochromatic homes that are showing up. The black and the white.
Paper look is in now, isn't it?
It's not for everybody, but yes. If you want to spend a couple of $1 million on a black house, it's your couple $1 million bucks.
I think if you do some colorful highlights and take the opportunity to make it a painted lady, so to speak, where it's highlighting all the different other colors. The black is a good background color, but you don't want it just to be all, at least I wouldn't want it to be just all black.
Well, I would love that.
You would love the black?
Say that
black
now.
On black?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you like it 20 years from now?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
After looking at it.
I would paint my house black for sure.
Okay.
There are black houses
We've actually
popping up all over
talked
Nashville.
about it, and now it's become popular, and I don't want to paint it black anymore. So I got to wait for 20 years to paint it black, so, I don't match everybody else.
Each their own, as it were.
Yes,
That's right. Let's go ahead and get to some questions, unless anyone else has something to say. All right, here we go. We've got a boxwood question as our first question, which I have one on either side of me. If you're wondering what a boxwood is, I feel like that's a pretty easy one, though, to identify for most people. My boxwoods are monstrous. How can I trim them back without putting it in shock?
Talk to it first.
Definitely trimming to put a plant into shock while it's dormant.
We're going to do this.
Ever seen that happen?
No.
Now, you got to get in there and do it. So to keep a boxwood in check, you typically need to do this almost every season as it starts to get to that size you want it to be at, because it will outgrow that, especially if it's just like a regular American boxwood that gets large. So you're going to have to do some somewhat severe pruning this year probably to get that back in check. And we need to do that fairly soon, roughly February, late February into March, I guess, is kind of or you could do it now. It's just if you do it now, you're going to see all of your wounds and all of your cuts, and you're going to have to deal with that until it flushes in the spring. That's the only issue. It's not going to hurt the plant any. It's not going to send it in shock. But you are going to have to see some of those bare stems and sticks. You're going to have to get in there and really kind of take it back to keep it in check. Like I said, though, it doesn't hurt to do that. It's just that you have to kind of watch it watch it sit there a little bit ugly until it flushes in the spring. But when it flushes in the spring, it's beautiful. The boxwood flush in the spring is one of my favorite times of year.
We were talking about it yesterday.
We really were. We brought boxwoods in here yesterday, little green beauties.
They are beautiful.
They're cute.
Hence the name.
Well, a lot of people have questions about their boxwoods, and I would say as a general rule of all broadleaf plants, they have generally fared the best with respect to the cold weather. It's not that they have shown no signs of duress. They certainly show fewer signs than many things.
Mine look great.
Yeah, you have green velvet. I've got green velvet at the house, and my green velvets look really good. Like, they didn't take a hit at all. They're a little bit bronze, but that's just what boxwood does over the wintertime, especially in more sun. And then my Justin Brower's boxwoods out front, which are true dwarfs, they took a hit. They do not look good. Not even a little bit. Like, I'm really annoyed looking at them every single day when I come home.
Man, every day
But-
you got to walk past those.
God, it
Relive
kills me.
it. Oh.
It's so annoying.
They'll
but
look great soon.
They will. I'm going to give them a little trim back. I haven't done it yet. I talked about this, I think, 2 weeks ago. I'm able to go out there and just shake them real good, like go to the top and just like do that, and leaves just fly off. They're gone. They got hit. They got touched by the cold, and they're not staying on. So every few days, I'll go out there and shake them again, and then more leaves come
Better
on.
get your stuff together.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
But a lot of bare sticks showing right now, but it's all right. They'll be fine. Like David said, boxwoods took it probably better than any other broadleaf evergreen this year.
Very good.
All right, we got another pruning question.
Okay.
Should I go ahead and cut back my raspberry plants?
Really good question. And it's kind of loaded a little, not too much. Any of the old canes that are up, like very tall ones that raspberries shoot pretty tall within a season. It depends, though. There's a few cultivars that will bloom again from that old wood and produce fruit in the spring, and then the sucker growth behind that will produce more fruit. So if I were you, I would say you can trim, some of those taller canes just to get them, back in check a little bit. But don't take them all the way to the ground. You might be able to see a crop from those old canes next spring. So that's the thing. I don't know what cultivar it is. One that we sell that's probably our most popular is called Heritage. And it's an excellent, excellent raspberry. Tastes good. Flavor's great. The plant produces like you wouldn't believe. And it produces 2 crops a year. So we need to probably keep those old canes up just in case. And like I said, give them a light trim just to get them in check. But
Do
other
they
than
get
that,
big,
let's leave
Austin?
them. What? The berries?
Yeah.
Medium to big, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if I would say like extra, extra large, but I mean, they're good size.
6, 8 feet.
Oh, the plants?
Yeah.
Oh, you can see 6 foot at least.
Okay.
I mean, 8 foot's a little stretch, but 6 you can definitely expect.
Now, after you get that first harvest off of those, do you recommend taking those heavy old canes back to the ground at that point?
Yes, I do. And I tell people that all the time. Right after you get that crop, go ahead and harvest. And then those canes that were up, you want to go ahead and just clear cut them. After you do that, you're going to see sucker growth from the ground, a very quick response, actually, of new canes. Once you get those up and growing with without having to compete with the other big ones, you'll get them to fill out, flower, and then fruit again in the fall, especially with, say, like Heritage Raspberry or, say, Fall Gold, which is a golden raspberry, which is absolutely delicious.
Tyler has that one.
Absolutely delicious.
Tyler's in love with that one.
Yes, and it's a heavy fall bearer of fruit. It really is. Tyler, you got it.
Yeah, I do.
Golden raspberries? Oh, man.
They're delicious.
Quickly, Jude is asking, do you have talavera pottery?
We have some right now. So we
Okay.
got a big shipment in the fall. I mean, we have a decent amount, probably 2 pallets worth left. Not fully stacked pallets, but we've got a little bit of a variety, mostly larger talavera pots. So
What does that mean?
What does talavera mean?
Yeah. What do
It's like a hand-painted
Okay.
pottery style from Mexico. We get it in a couple.
Chile,
We should get it in a couple
Mexico.
times a year.
Okay.
We never know when they're going to come. They just roll on in with this huge trailer,
Wow.
From Mexico.
and we buy it straight from Mexico, and we just buy it in the parking lot. It's an exciting day and overwhelming because we do
Well,
get
I
a
was
lot of it.
Telling you, Caroline, a couple of months ago that in my travels to Mexico, I have gone through a town called Dolores Hidalgo, which has a lot of this talavera pottery, and you can buy a toilet made of that.
Get up.
I can't believe it. I'm telling you, you can. I got to say this carefully. I might be afraid to sit on it for breaking it, but because
That's the kind of
seems
statement.
fragile.
It would be a mess.
That would be the statement in the front yard. Man.
A talavera toilet as a planter.
Oh, wow.
Here you
No.
go, HOA.
Well, talavera is not supposed to be kept outside in the winter, especially in our climate. So it's not going to work unless you want to move that planter in and outside. All right, let's go ahead and get to
Very
another
good.
question.
I've also got one that's coming on YouTube.
Okay.
If
Never mind.
after, okay, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Tyler.
Okay, hold on. Let me push this back here. Okay,
There you go.
and pull that away. Horton Monroe is asking, I still have dried leaves and straw on my onions, garlic, and shallots. Should I remove all of that now?
No, I don't see why you would want to remove. I mean, unless you just want to make it look.
I'd wait a month, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would. I mean, you'll start seeing those plants push up through that, and really leaf litter and debris like that, as long as it's not, like diseasey leaves. It's a horrible word.
That's a great. I liked putting that
Diseasey.
together, though.
Yeah.
Diseasey leaves.
I mean, as
It's
long as you
easy
didn't.
for you to say.
Yeah. But yeah, honestly, leaf litter on top of your soil is really not all that bad of a problem. I mean, it just kind of, does what nature does. They'll just slowly decompose and add, nutrients back to your soil. So, I mean, if you want to leave it around there. It actually works as a little bit of a mulch, a little bit of weed suppression. I mean, not like great, but it's helpful. So no, just let it be. I wouldn't touch that.
Very good.
All right. When do we start trimming away cold damage? We do have a few cold damage questions.
This is a great question, and we're gonna wait until we see where the new growth happens. That's really we don't know what to trim yet. That's the problem. I mean, yeah, things look bad.
Far?
Yeah, and exactly how far to go back. Where is it going to leaf out from? Is it going to come back from the roots to where nothing comes back from the stems and you got to clear cut all of the stems? The problem is we don't know that answer yet. We have to wait until spring, wait until where we see the new growth come from, and then we can prune accordingly after that. It's not like going to be too late after the leaves form. You can still trim after that, but we just, like I said, we just don't know where to trim yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mine. I have some sticks in my yard, but
Everybody wants to just get rid of that stuff.
Everybody's
It's
ready
not
to
time.
get it done, and just
It's
we're not. In a month we'll know more, but it still won't be time.
no, it's early. It's only January.
we're just confused because the daffodils are out and they're blooming.
Yes, the daffodils are confused.
They are, but
They're-
they look so cute.
They do.
Okay, next question.
Hold on, before we move from the
Okay.
daffodils, let's stay on it.
Let's stay on
Okay.
the daffodils.
Caroline sent me and Tyler a picture of a daffodil she picked in bloom.
Two
Two of them,
Mm-hmm.
excuse me.
2 pictures?
And
two flowers.
two
Okay.
flowers from daffodil flowers. Like, I'm
Uh-huh.
okay with the leaves being up a little bit. That's fairly typical for us. Like, we can get warm spells and they'll want to push up a little bit. David, over in your side yard, you've got some daffodils pushing up out of the ground, along with some irises coming up and then hellebore coming back.
Yep.
I know people are a little bit worried about hellebore because they took a shot this year, but I can already see David's coming back with new leaves even now. So they're going to be fine. But yeah, I mean, what is flowers? in
And they're
January?
gorgeous on my mantle right now. They're in a tiny little cute vase. So it's confusing. It's a confusing time, but it's not time to start cutting on those damaged plants just yet. All right. Do y'all have any confidence that distyliums will come back?
I have no confidence. Nope.
Josh has no confidence. Josh lost it.
This is actually a very good question. Distylium R is a little bit cold sensitive and can be. I do have confidence they're going to come back, but they're definitely bad on top. I mean, real bad, and they're going to suffer some They can suffer dieback even on just a normal kind of regular winter for us.
They may be all the way to the ground.
It might be. And if
but
you have
the good news is the root system is not damaged, so they have the opportunity to recover. So that's the thing that we really want to. I mean, we obviously are in business to sell plants, but we're also are in business to try to educate people to help you to maximize your gardening dollars. We want you to give yourself the opportunity to be able to grow these plants back out. There's a lot of people because of impatience, are going to dig plants up that are not dead that would come back out if they would just give themselves a little bit of an opportunity. I think distylium is one of those plants. They may have significant damage, but because the root system is not damaged, the recovery will be much quicker than you could possibly believe. By August, you'll hardly be able to tell that it ever happened. Now, and that may sound like, well, August, I can't wait that long. Well,
you can.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
I think horticulturally speaking, things work on a longer timetable than people are used to with other things in our fast and modern life. Yeah.
That's right.
But, the difference a year makes in the plant world is huge.
Yeah.
And you can't measure the growth almost in real time unless it's something that grows really fast. But then you take a photo then and now, it's there.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, I look for the third season after I put something in new for it to be right back.
Definitely.
Yep.
Especially trees and shrubs. It just seems like that third season, they really go. And it's annoying for me a lot of times too, because I want to come home and look at my plants every single day. Like every single one of them, I want to see how they're doing, check on them or whatever. So when you do that, you see like to no growth, or you think you're not seeing growth because it looks the same as it did the day before. But then you go on, say, a week and a half vacation or something, and then you come home and scour the yard and you're like, oh, stuff does happen.
Dude, where'd you come from?
Exactly. It's like, so, patience is key.
Hey guys, let's quickly take a sidestep for just a moment. Talk about EarthMix garden products. And if you see all these pins that's on this map right here, that means if you live in any one of these areas, there's a EarthMix reseller that's in your neighborhood.
Wow.
And all you got to do is put your address in right here, and it'll give you turn-by-turn direction to the nearest one, or you can just put the big map out there and select a location that is near to where you are, like Avalon Nursery and Landscape up in Kentucky, or say perhaps Farmer Basket of Hazel, Kentucky. So there's a lot of places out and around. South Branch Nursery out in Murfreesboro, of course, the great folks out at Martin's. The point of it is no matter where you are in Middle Tennessee, Kentucky, Southern Illinois, or Indiana, I should say, and Ohio, there is an EarthMix seller near you, and it's only sold at the finest retail establishments, garden centers, almost exclusively. There are a few other home centers that are specialized in doing some of the finer things, and EarthMix garden products gives you the recipe for success. What it does is all the hard work for you. Plants have nutritional needs, Josh, as you well know.
I know that.
And I know you know.
I watch the at-home show, so that's why I know that.
Yes, well, you have a front row seat, literally.
Yes.
And but what EarthMix gives you is soils that are naturally fertile, that give the plants all the good stuff that Mother Nature normally provides, but it does so in abundance.
Yep.
If you're thinking about people who are itching to do something, in about, say, a month, you could do extensive mulching around your plants with EarthMix Supernatural.
Hey, buddy, you better crank up production, buddy.
And it is not sold as a fertilizer, but your plants don't know it's not. It's so highly productive. It's so very fertile. It's such a living microorganism rich soil compost that it adds great things to your soil. And I think particularly in a year like we're having this spring coming up, your plants are really going to be looking for all the edges they can get to give them success. So consider EarthMix Supernatural to get out there and top dress your plants with, and you cannot overuse it. It's because it's organic. There's no chance of burn. You're going to get great results. So no matter which EarthMix product you choose, you can assure yourself of getting the best results. Caroline's going to say use Proganics I when you're planting things indoors, because it is a great indoor mix. For one, it's a professional indoor potting soil. It also uses no peat, and because it uses no peat, it uses coconut coir. It does not attract or create an environment conducive to fungus gnats. And if you've ever grown things inside, those are very pesky. So get ready for gardening, and EarthMix Garden Products is going to be with you every step of the way. Of course, it's available all those locations I showed you at the outset. Remember this, success in gardening begins at the ground level when you use EarthMix Garden Products. We appreciate you giving us a moment to talk about that, help you with your gardening efforts. It really takes the work out of it. So there you go.
There it is.
Let us resume the questions.
All right.
Resume, if you will.
Here we go. How do I keep ant colonies and beetles out of my raised vegetable beds naturally? Ooh. Have we stumped Austin? Probably not.
It's tricky because ants are ants. There's like more of those than any creature on Earth, it seems like, or at least close to it. And different colonies can form within the season. So I would, the easiest thing would be like with the beetles anyway. Beetles larvae is going to overwinter as larvae. I mean, as like, what would you call that? A grub, if you will, underneath the ground for the most part. So you could, if you had a real bad problem with them, you could remove the soil that's in there and then replace it. That would get rid of anything that was going to overwinter in there. But ants are tricky, and there's stuff for ants. I mean, there's ant killer and stuff, but that's not very natural. So, doing your best to, I guess, disrupt their nest, would be the way to go. But that's a tricky one. I mean, insects are tough because they're so small and there's millions of them. So.
I would probably lean towards a trap as opposed to any kind of a bait or those kind of things, because especially if you're going to grow vegetables. I mean, if it's an ornamental, there's probably a different way to approach it.
Yeah, and I'm assuming this is a vegetable bed.
Right.
Since they said raised bed. So
they said naturally.
I know. Yeah. Well, naturally, use your hands, I guess.
Unless a drench with insecticidal soap would do the trick, which I'm not
for a
convinced
minute,
that it's all that effective. It makes them clean.
Yeah.
Smell good.
Yeah.
I always have them in my mixed planters. I just kind of leave them. They don't affect my plants.
About ants. I mean, fire ants are a different deal now.
Yes.
But if they're just regular, little black ants.
What my mama used to call them.
I'm not you. That's your department, Josh.
Uh-oh. Let's talk about the beetles.
We're not going to go down that.
We haven't answered that yet.
Okay.
No, the beetles.
We're not.
Ringo.
You can just
No, not
think it out
those.
loud to yourself.
Okay.
How would you keep beetles out of there? That was the second part of the question.
Beetles. It depends with beetles. Some beetles are bad for vegetables and they will eat the foliage, and then some aren't near as bad. The worst one is probably Japanese beetles,
They're
which
evil.
are invasive here, exotic invasives that were introduced a long time ago, and they can be an issue. But like I said, they're grubs through the wintertime. They're those white, grubs that are somewhat fat, and you can see them if you peel back if you go out and dig a hole in the wintertime to like plant a tree or something, you're probably going to see the larvae of Japanese beetles. They're just there. So if they are in your raised bed soil, we need to get in there. If you want to do things naturally, then you use your hands for the most part, and you do it naturally. You go in there and you turn your dirt, kind of flip it over, play with it, and see what's in there. And if you see a lot of larvae, literally just pick them out, throw them in the woods.
Toss them in your neighbor's yard.
No, don't do that. Stomp them or cut them in half, whatever you got to do.
Oh, both of those sound so gross.
Well, what are you going to do? You got to do something that's natural.
Fish bait.
Yeah.
You don't want them in there. There you go. Go fishing. Collect them. Go fishing.
There it is. Go fishing. All right. So we got some answers to that. So our next question, someone in this room just went wild with this topic the other day. Should I till? If so, when? Austin.
Okay.
Didn't you just get wild in your vegetable bed last week?
I did, yeah. I cleaned it up. It was time. All my leftover stuff was still in there. All my melons, tomatoes were still strung up on strings, and all just old debris. And I went in there and went nuts on it. Actually, I cleaned everything up, and I used a cultivator. So tilling is, you can till if you want. A lot of people still till, and it's fine. There's a whole new, I say new, it's been going on for a while, but a no-till type of movement if you can help it, especially if your garden is in the ground, using just earth. You get a lot of like erosion issues, and you lose nutrients that way whenever you like really till every single year. Now, if this is a new bed or something you're trying to create, you certainly have to till at least once. I mean, I did my very first, I moved to my home 2 or 3 years ago, but my first garden was really last year, and I did a plow actually first. I got really, really deep and cut down into the earth very deeply, and then I came on top of that with a rototiller behind a tractor and really got it sifted up. Now, I'm not going to do that again this year. I'm going to do a no-till, but what I did do is a cultivator. Yeah, I had this like old school
Mantis,
yeah, no motor, no nothing. No,
really?
No, just on
really?
one big wheel with a claw like type of thing behind it that just literally just works up the earth, but only a couple inches just to get it like, worked up. And then I'm going to go in the spring and just literally plant right in that. And that's fine. It keeps my stuff where I want it. It keeps the dirt kind of chopped up a little bit. So water doesn't just, run off very quickly. It just stays and kind of falls down into it. But if you do want to till, and it's totally, it's fine to do that. You can definitely do that. You just don't want to do it, all the time or anything. But you're going to do that pretty much right before you plant. I mean, that's kind of the answer.
Yeah.
I just said a lot of things, but that's pretty much the answer is whenever you're ready to get your veggie garden planted, till it up and then plant right in it. That's the easiest way to do it.
Very good.
Perfect. All right. Do we have any questions on that end of the studio?
We do. Debbie wants to know, Debbie Church, she says she wanted to build a butterfly garden, but I've been fed deer on the back half acre, so I have 6 or 8 regular visitors. Would it be fruitless to try building a garden? And if I did plant one, how high would I have to build a fence around it? Debbie. Wow.
Debbie?
Debbie.
No. The good thing about a butterfly garden is that you're typically planting things that are weedy, if you will, in nature. So they can sometimes outgrow that deer population and still thrive without the deer just messing up the whole thing. Now, saying this is that this might take a couple seasons. The very first season, plants are going to be smaller. They're not going to be as vigorous just because they're young. So the deer may kind of graze them pretty well the first season. But I think as it goes on and they, plants reseed and they just come back naturally and spread, then you can kind of outcompete the deer populations, or at least learn to live with it. It's not it's great to feed the butterflies, but at the same time, it's not horrible to feed the deer a little bit too. You want to try to get it all together, and don't expect your plants to be perfect constantly because the deer are there. But you can definitely, I think, expect some good pollinators that'll still work out for you, even with the deer.
Are there some that you might think that would have a distasteful taste to the deer? I mean,
not a ton of things. I'm not going to lie to you. There's a lot of things that they just, not a lot of things that they won't eat. I mean, like boxwood comes to mind, and they don't really like it all that much. They don't really like it, but that's not a pollinator whatsoever. But barberry is very thorny, but that's not a very good pollinator either.
It would seem to me that it would be worth her time to come out and do a walk around with Joy Bowden.
Yeah, buddy.
And Joy, she really does a wonderful job of making sure we have really entire selections. She working with Julie Patterson, our Green Goods purchasing agent, to make sure that we have an extensive line of pollinators. But I think what you want to do, at least if I'm approaching doing it in a large area, is to not have a designated single spot, but rather plant things all about, and that way you kind of make it a little less easy for you force the deer to have to move around a whole lot more. They're more apt to miss something that way. So I think you can have great success in it, and Austin's right. It takes a little time to get it grown in. You're not going to probably be attracting thousands of butterflies year one, but by year 3, you're going to have a substantial show. Mm-hmm. That's when those plants are established and ready, putting some flowers out there that will pull them in.
And they're annuals anyway, for the most part, aren't they? A lot of them, so they could just
not necessarily.
Not necessarily. No, there's a lot of perennials. Yeah,
a lot of them reseed too.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
My zinnias reseed every year.
As far as how high the fence would be,
too high.
They can jump over what?
They go 6 foot, 8 foot for sure.
Yeah,
but it also needs to not have any visual access for the deer to look into it and see that there's yummy things on the other side of it. So try to obscure as much as possible.
You don't want them thinking about it too much.
Yeah.
No, well, if they see it, they're gonna try and go after it.
And they'll walk around the
sign
fence.
on the outside of it says, "Hey, deer,
no deer.
The flowers are over there."
Look at that hand! Whoa!
You know what? You should throw up a mirror on the fence so they look at themselves and they really feel bad about the destruction they're causing in their yard.
Mirrors everywhere.
Yeah.
All right. Should I be worried about my buttercups and hyacinths that are already coming up, which we have discussed a little bit, but let's go. Let's do it.
Let's go. Let's do it. I don't think so. I've seen daffodils and hyacinths come up early a lot of time. Their foliage doesn't really get hurt all that bad even. I mean, it'll get touched. The very tops of the green foliage will get like, tannish, brownish, if you will, if we get like a really nasty freeze one night or something. But you're not going to see death hardly ever. I mean, like we were talking about earlier, the daffodils are already up in most everybody's yard. Caroline's got 2 that are blooming.
I'm still
just
blown away.
Yeah. Now, if you did have blooms on them and you left them overnight on like a really nasty 20-degree night or something like that, you would probably see those flowers senesce and fall off. It's just part of it. But when it comes to foliage, no, I think you're good. They're just a little early this year. We just, we had an extreme cold event, and then 2 weeks later, it was like 65 and sunny.
I saw 70
I was more like 4 days
Smyrna
later,
today.
I think.
Yeah, it was. You're right. It was only like 4 or 5 days later. Yeah. So.
70 in Smyrna today?
No, the other day.
Oh.
It was 70 out here the other day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Austin, I always take the opposite approach with. I tell people that they should double up on their worry. If they're worried about it, you're probably not worried enough. If you just take more time and worry more intensely, perhaps that will change something. Because a lot of things happen because you don't worry enough about them. Of course, that's all tongue-in-cheek. Worry has no connection to it. The thing of it is, tulips and hyacinths and all of those bulbs all come from Holland and in the Netherlands area where it gets quite cold there. So they are adept at dealing with cold weather temperatures. It's true that they're coming up earlier than we would like to see them. But what are you going to do? I mean, you have little mini refrigeration units you can put on top of each one of them to chill them down and make them stop growing. I say just enjoy it. My bigger concern is this warm weather pushing on through and us starting to get things juiced up.
Yes, that shouldn't be juicy.
And then we have another cold spell later on. So I don't think that's going to probably affect the bulb type bloomers. There is reason for concern with regard to other things. And, we can't control the weather. We just have to deal with it. That's what Mom Nature says. So it's what we do.
Speaking of tulips, Caroline's got some tulips up already in pots.
Oh, yeah. I was like, what? I do. They're about probably over an inch up now. I was very shocked when I saw that last week.
And the funny thing is, yours are in pots. I've got tulips in the ground.
You're so mad that mine are
mine
up.
are not even. Mine aren't up at all. They're in the ground, where we talk all the time about how in the ground is much more insulative, and it is for a lot of plants. But for some weird reason,
well, maybe the pot just warmed up real fast.
Maybe
because it's in a pot.
Maybe it did.
But I was shocked when I saw that.
Tulips already.
Tulips are coming up. Everything. I'm ready for spring. Clearly,
yes.
All the spring plants are ready for spring. Let's go.
You need to calm down.
No.
It's January.
That's true. We all need to get a little bit more sleepy and hibernate a little bit longer.
That's right.
Well, we know spring's coming because we got a notification that the Nashville Lawn and Garden Show's coming up.
Hey.
Oh, I'm excited. It's my favorite.
First weekend in March, so it's time.
Well, I'm pretty sure we're going to be hearing from our good friend Deborah Varello and getting Randall Lance scheduled to come on.
We don't.
So hopefully that will be happening soon. So Randall, you're officially on alert.
Mm-hmm.
But in the meantime, we have an indoor plant facility at Bates Nursery and Garden Center. Matter of fact, all these things that we have for sale are all inside. So if it's a little chilly or if it's rainy or whatever the case, maybe it's too breezy for you, we've got it all indoors. And there's no, we weren't lucky that our plants survived without damage. We were prepared to deal with it. And it's because this is not our first time around. We've been doing this for 91 years now. So we have made our share of mistakes along the way. And if you take good notes and pay attention, those mistakes teach you what you need to do in advance. And fortunately, we were able to do all of our winterization in timely fashion. And the net result is that we have greenhouses and structures full of plants that have no damage whatsoever. So we invite you to come out and see us, take photographs of your lawn, your landscape, and we'll be glad to help you figure out what are going to be good options for you and how to get the right plant in the right place the first time. See, that's the way we do it, Josh.
Yes, I know.
Here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center, we really want to help you to get it all figured out so you can go home and enjoy your time that you have in the garden. So come out and see us. We've got all that. We, of course, have the complete line of EarthMix garden products, all bag materials, all bulk materials. That's right. Everything that is sold in a bag in EarthMix garden products is also available here at Bates Nursery in bulk. So if you decide you want to buy it in a larger quantity and save some money, that option is available to you. And we're open 6 days a week at this time of year, Monday through Friday from 9 until 4. 10 until 2 today on Saturday. So come out and see us. We're a little shorter schedule. Of course, we're closed Sundays until the spring season. It'll be here before you know it. And we're grateful to have been beautifying Nashville since 1932 here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center. So come out and see us and, grab the kids, take your gardening notes and grab them up. And maybe it's just a planting session right now. This is a really good time to do that. So we're not crazy busy, and it gives us a little bit more time to really give you the attention that you may want to have. So if you wait until it gets to be April, it gets to be a lot more difficult. So come on out and see us now. We'll help you get it all figured out. Bates Nursery and Garden Center, beautifying Nashville since 1932.
Yeah, you'll find them a place to put these beautiful Fire Chief Globe Arborvitae that are here. Oh my gosh, these things are gorgeous.
They are gorgeous. They have that distinctive bronze color. So they are, and I love the contrast. And what are those blue Pacifics down in front? Or
Looks
what
like
are
Blue
those?
Star.
Blue Star,
Yeah,
yes.
Blue Star.
Yeah. And the Blue Star, of course, are a much tighter growth habit and slower grower than a blue Pacific. So that makes them a lot more desirable as far as a ground cover juniper. They stay very compact and they don't overgrow an area. So you've got full sun. These are great color combinations to go together. Everybody thinks about color and flowers, but conifers really hold their own, particularly at this time of year.
All right. Could lenten roses have survived the recent cold in Nashville, or
Mine
should
did.
I replant with new?
Don't replant
Mine
yet,
survived.
people.
Oh,
Yeah.
Don't dig them up
Patience.
yet. Yeah, be patient. We've talked about it all show. And I just talked about the lenten rose. What? Go ahead.
Well,
What do you
and I
got?
was going to say, we were in David's yard looking at the daffodils yesterday, and we did see the lenten rose where all the foliage up top had died. It was laying on the ground, but there was so much new growth. It was
know.
kind of insane how
Wow.
many new shoots had come up. So,
And it was fresh. It was tender. I mean, now they're a very cold hardy plant though. But yeah, their foliage did get touched. I mean, touched hard. But no, they're not going to go. They're not going to be dead. So just give it some time. Wait. It'll happen.
it'll happen.
It'll
They'll
come
come
back.
back. A way to prevent squash bugs. Those evil little things.
Don't plant squash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Prevention is
That's
very
the
hard.
easiest way.
Prevention is the word here. That's very tricky to prevent them. Let's think. What do y'all got?
I have nothing. They always get on my squash when not at the beginning, but as the season
right as they're getting
continues.
ready to get going.
Yes, then they're
I've
all
always
over.
told people to buy a few extra squash vines, and when they first show signs of it, is to pull those up and replant with another one, and burn that other plant. I mean, get it completely destroyed so that you burn all the larvae and everything up with it. They tunnel in at the base of the trunk of them. They lay eggs in there, and you have to be looking really close to have a chance of seeing them.
Yeah, and it happens quick.
They're really tough gardening for vegetable gardening. You pretty much just need to be prepared to have some reserves to replant with if you get hit by them, because they move in fast and they affect them quickly.
Yeah, and I guess another prevention technique could be learning what their eggs look like, and getting those eggs before they ever even hatch. It's going to be on the back sides of the leaves, and they're going to be in little clusters, little like yellow clusters, a number of them together. So anytime you can flip over leaves whenever they're young and get those eggs squashed, then you'll never have a problem with your squash.
Whoa, there it is.
There it is.
Perfect answer. All right, now I can't remember how to say this word.
Ranunculus.
Ranunculus. I had it in my head and then it was gone. Do well in our zone.
Ranunculus, let your hair down.
When should they be planted? I have actually grown them before.
Yeah.
I can't remember when I planted them though, but they did really well for
Early
me.
spring is but now if you're talking about like, do they live in our zone consistently, perennially? No, they don't. Sorry, but they are beautiful. Ranunculus is fantastic. I mean, there's like the biggest petal count ever. Like there's so many petals within that bloom. So definitely a great plant to use as an annual, but don't expect it to return year after year here.
It's a great spell in
I
defense
think mine
against the
returned
dark
1 or 2
arts
years.
too.
Yes, there it is, Josh.
Ranunculus.
All right, my pansies didn't make it. Other ideas for a north-facing window box this winter, and it is signed Lee.
Lee.
All right,
I saw
Lee.
Lee yesterday. I know who this is. I saw Lee.
Good morning,
Shout
Lee.
out Lee. Thank you for watching each week. He was very nice yesterday talking to me. He's the one that had the question about the Sun Valley maple last week, who had 2 different leaders. So he watches us every week. Thank you so much for watching,
sir.
Lee. That's cool. And pansies, yeah. So if you're going to use something else, what you could do is not use annuals at all, and you could potentially use some sort of like either shrubby, leafy little plant, something that's super hardy, and that you can use some trailing juniper or something, in the thought that like I'm going to add to my landscape, because I know you've got a nice landscape and you work on it and you really care about plants, so there's always holes in the garden. So maybe use that planter box for something that you just want to kind of keep pretty for the wintertime, and then plant it in those little holes in the spring in your landscape, and then you can replant that planter box for more like annual color during the season. But this year, pansies and pots definitely took a hit, and I'm sorry about that. It just was part of it. But like I said, you can use other little, plants you want to put in the landscape, maybe little conifers, little cute things, whatever, boxwood. Just something to keep up and green over the wintertime, and then
Blue
reuse
Star
it in your
Juniper.
landscape. Blue Star Juniper.
Blue
There
Star.
you go.
I'm a fan of that method.
Yeah, why not? You're doing that. You're doing that with something.
I do it with hue craft.
Q grass, right? Coral bells.
I put them in pots in the fall. They stay pretty much up through the winter. This cold snap killed off the top part of the plant, but then I cut it back and it looks great. And then I plant it usually in the spring when I refresh those mixed planters. And mine looked great last year, by the way.
Yeah.
I know we were going to do a competition, but then I think I just won by default. So wonderful. All right. Evergreen shrub for all day sun.
Oh God,
So many.
there's so many.
What's your favorite, though? Let's start there.
Favorite evergreen shrub? I mean, honestly, we literally talked about this yesterday. As I've gotten older and I've gotten to be to where like I'm a homeowner and I've got 3 kids and a life and work and all the stuff that's just so much all the time, that I really want my landscape to be somewhat, low maintenance. And I think that's a very common phrase for people to come at me with out here, is that I want something low maintenance, and I don't blame you. So you know what mine is. Yeah, it's boxwood. I mean, boxwood is, people really turn up their noses at box. Like, oh, boxwood, it's just so
It's so boxwood.
It's so boxwood.
Yeah.
Everybody's got boxwood. Well, There's a reason, and because you don't have to do hardly any work to them. I mean, literally a little bitty trim like once a year will keep them in check, and that's all you got to do. I mean, like I said, for a full sun environment for an evergreen plant, like I said, I'm going boxwood. Now, if you're talking about like a specimen for the garden, like a showpiece that you're trying to feature or something, I mean, there's certainly plenty of cool, like, you know,
Pine
weeping stuff, conifers, deodar cedars that go all sprawly and crazy, and, you know, junipers that are interesting and funky. There's a number of conifers that you can use, and which all conifers for the most part are going to prefer a full sun environment. Right. So, you know, there's tons of options for that. But if we're using like a bunch of something, or it's like my foundation, boxwood's my go-to.
Mm-hmm. We were talking about that yesterday. Again, we have a lot of conversations about plants, but I was just telling Austin, I did not like boxwood before I started working here. I wouldn't have put it in my landscaping, and now I have 5 of them, and I love them. They're my favorite thing to look at in the winter. They make me so happy. They just look fantastic. So
how many different cultivars
are
do
great
we
too.
have at any one time? Would you guess, Austin?
I'd say 15 is a minimum. Probably of different cultivars of boxwood, and they all still sell. I mean,
they all have their place.
They do.
They're not all exactly for the same purpose. There are fastigate types. There are some that grow up columnar, some that are pyramidal. You know, they are
perfectly round.
They're
super small, slow growing. I mean, there's a boxwood for almost any scenario. In your, you know, for your foundational planting.
A boxwood for everyone.
That's
Could
right.
write a book about that. Do we have any more questions on that side of the room? I've just got 2 more over here. Tyler said yes.
Yes.
Get it, Tyler.
Oh, well, first, Gina commented on YouTube, perhaps diatomaceous earth would rid one of ants.
They pick it up and take it around. I mean,
I don't know how effective that is for ants. Diatomaceous earth essentially just like kind of is little shards more or less for an insect, and it just like really cuts their body up more for like larval.
Soft underbodied insects, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Sluggish.
And I'm not sure if ants are soft enough. I mean, ants are tough.
They're pretty hard. Yeah.
climb
I've
over
never
it
tried
and keep-
using that. You know, it was the squash vine borers. If you could find the eggs, you could dust that up underneath the foliage, and that would work. So
Maybe right when they
Possibly.
hatch. Yeah, possibly.
But that would be a natural way. Okay. And looking on the Google form, which comes out every week with David's newsletter.
Thursday.
That's
By
right.
the way, real quick, David, your newsletter was really well written this week. I got to say, I read it and I was like, you touched a lot of good points. If y'all haven't read that,
couldn't believe I wrote it.
No, I was like, I've read your newsletter every week for as long as I've worked here. And I just was like, that was really well written. I mean, it touched on everything that was kind of happening around town. And you touched on the conifers. I know me and you had talked about this a little bit, but the conifers have just started kind of this past week or two showing their signs of distress. You know, we definitely talked about the leafy plants. We haven't talked much about conifers, but Leland cypress, Arizona cypress, Hinoki cypress, a number of those conifers are showing signs.
Of course, you and I kind of talk every week. I try to kind of get your assessment, see if we're seeing things the same way. You get out and about more than I do, so you do get to see what's out in the landscapes around the areas, and those are an area of concern. You know, Leland cypress, they took it on the chin.
They did.
And they're not the only cupressus. You know, that's that whole family. They are all Arizona blues. It's not a good year for those.
Not right
it
now.
may keep people from using those anymore.
Yeah. We'll see. I still think they're fine, but we'll see. But they definitely took a shot. All right. I'm sorry, Tyler.
Okay.
Get back.
I'm just trying to get to these folks' questions. Sarah says, I read your weekly letter, then said not to cut back the plants that have turned brown from the Arctic freeze at Christmas. My friends say I should wait until after the last frost, like in April. That seems too late to me, but wanted to see what you have to say about that.
I wouldn't say it's
too late at all.
Too late.
No.
Now, we don't know when the last frost is going to be. The average last frost date is April 10th.
That's my birthday.
The last frost date this year might be March the 10th. You don't really know.
We had a late freeze this spring. Seems
Yeah,
like we
so-
were into the last week of April.
We always
but-
get a wallop
Yeah.
at the
But
end there.
but
Seems
frost is not going to be the big issue for those. Another hard freeze after new growth has emerged. That could be not good news. We really don't want to see that. So hopefully that won't happen. But a plant that's struggling to resurrect itself doesn't need to get whacked yet again. So that would be kind of another level of concern that if you have plants that are pushing back out, it would be wise to invest in some kind of cover for them to be able to give you the opportunity to, if we do have some kind of freezing temperatures, to be able to prevent that from killing them back again. Don't know that that's going to happen. It may not happen at all.
Yeah.
But you can't do it. You can't undo it after the fact. Part of what made this freeze so terrible was its timing. It happened right before Christmas. Nobody wanted to deal with it.
Right.
Did you want to deal with it, Austin, while we were going through that before Christmas? No, none of us did. It was a severe pain,
It was a lot of work.
but we
was
did
worth
deal
it.
with it,
We did.
and consequently, we got through it in really good shape. And I'm really grateful to everybody, our entire staff that worked so hard to get that done, because I
Could have had it
didn't
out
know
there.
what the weather was going to do. But I did know that if we didn't get it done, we were going to be consequences. And unfortunately, there are many others, if not almost everybody else around town that
Got burned.
paid some price
Yes.
because they didn't have things dealt with. They didn't have them covered. They didn't have them protected.
In the
And
interest,
this was
in the interest of time, should we do? This is Beth's question now. Should we do anything special to help the distressed shrubs and trees from any upcoming freezing and below freezing temperatures?
Tell them it's going to be okay. Just go
I
out
think
there
I
and
just
tell them.
covered that.
Huh?
Pat,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
Is it recommended to go ahead and clean up the fallen leaf debris around the distressed shrubs and trees?
If you want to do
sure.
something, then yes, that's a great thing to do. If you feel like you need to do it, go ahead and clean them up.
And
Get a
then
leaf blower out there and
There you
blow it
go.
out.
And then what should we do to protect the budding and flowering daffodils from freezing temps?
Dig them up and bring them in the house.
Yeah, I mean, use them as cut flowers. They're not like blooming their heads
Yeah.
off right now. They're just, sporadically throwing
They're
a
shooting.
few.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you want to, do what Caroline did, bring them in your house, a little vase. It's very cute. And you still have a whole nother crop coming on soon. I mean, the daffodils, like I said, they're just in the early stages of blooming, and most of them are not at all. So just wait it out. But if you want to protect them in the ground, I guess, I don't know, put a bucket or something over them if we're going to get super cold. But
Right.
I don't know. Like I
I'm gonna
said,
let mine go. They'll be fine.
Edward on Facebook replied to Debbie, who was talking about the deer netting or the deer fence in the butterfly garden. They use a combination of some green fencing and deer netting that they get from Tractor Supply. And they know what they're doing, too. I know the elephants. So, I mean, that's a good deal.
Yeah,
All right.
that works.
Sorry.
There's nothing in the forecast, by the way, that shows in the 10-day, it shows that there's any danger of there being anything. So, you can put off worrying for a little bit. There's nothing to do. There's no temperatures that we have. 28's the lowest temperature. That will not harm flowering bulb plants. It will not do anything to them.
No.
No,
it
we're
won't.
cool.
All right, enough bulb talk. We do have two more questions on my
I got
end.
one
I've got
quick
one more, too.
All right, guys,
gosh.
speed it up.
Okay, Emily Bruner, 90% defoliated. It's almost 20 foot tall. Is it gone? Emily Bruner.
The rose?
I don't know. Annette says
I
it's
think
at
it's
my.
a rose.
Yeah, Emily
Or
Bruner.
no, is it not Emily Bruner?
That's
Cecil
Cecil,
Bruner
yeah.
is a
That's
rose.
just
Okay,
No, is that
Emily.
an
Emily
old
Bruner's
holly,
a
David?
holly.
Yeah, that's
a holly.
No, I would
It's,
not think your holly's dead.
Nope.
Not at all. I mean, it'll defoliate probably, but it's going to crack back out. It's going to be fine. Just let it be and don't prune yet. Let's see where it comes out from,
Yep.
and then we can cut.
Okay, quick.
All right, TY.
Yep. Pat has a question. Can perennials that are normally cut to stubs in the winter be cut back now? For example, daisies and last year's hellebores foliage before new foliage emerges. How about hydrangea?
Hydrangea totally different, but the first two you talked about, yeah, totally. I mean, if your lenten rose, your hellebore, its foliage got horribly affected, then yeah, certainly you can cut that back. Any daisies from last year, certainly you can cut back. Go ahead and everything's coming back from the roots, y'all. So yeah, all the old foliage get it gone. When it comes to hydrangeas, that's a whole nother topic. It depends on which hydrangea you have on how I'm going to tell you to cut it. So
we'll cover that.
And we have a
next week,
webinar
yeah.
on that.
we do have a webinar.
Austin will be doing another one soon.
Yeah.
Very good. Caroline.
All right. Is a 10-year-old crape myrtle too old to transplant?
It's not old enough to drive.
It's
Well, there's one answer.
I tell you, it's
gonna
not
be
too
hard.
old to do it, but yeah, it's going to be difficult.
Monster.
Crepe myrtles, it's a monster. Yeah, the roots are insane. They reach out very far from the main stem, so definitely not impossible. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there's nurserymen that can do it, but they're using major equipment to get that lifted out of the ground enough to where you can get enough root ball to kind of keep that plant going. So not going to be fun whatsoever, but certainly possible.
Yep.
All right. And final question is, are all the laurels dead?
They're dead.
We're going to close the show with that one.
I hope not. That's my answer.
They're not.
No,
They're
I don't
not.
think they're dead at all. But they might have some die back. Get ready, people.
We'll see you in
And
the
just
spring.
keep looking at those ugly shrubs because you got to.
Yeah.
Nothing else to do.
Hey, guess what, David? Well, we're going to come
What,
back here.
Josh?
We're going to come back here next Saturday morning, aren't we?
That is my plan. Yes.
Yeah, we might be celebrating an anniversary next Saturday morning. You know
Oh,
that?
we just might be
We
doing
could
that.
be doing it.
I've got some travel things coming up, so I'm going to be off for a couple of weeks at least. So we're going to may take a 1 week, a few day head start on our 25th
Fifth.
anniversary. That's hard to believe, Josh.
That is. I can't quit you. That's all right. We're good to go. Hey, folks, next Saturday we will be here from the Green Room Studios at Bates Nursery and Garden Center. The whole crew will be in, and looking forward to it. So join us. Hey, by the way, when you're out there on social media, like, subscribe, share, spread the word about the At Home Show, because we love you and we want to reach out and touch all the rest of the folks in the world. We'll see you next Saturday morning.